Fight Channel donosi vam UFC 152 s 9 mečeva u izravnom prijenosu. Počinjemo u noći sa subote na nedjelju 23. rujna u 2 ujutro. U glavnoj borbi večeri Vitor Belfort diže se u polutešku kategoriju kako bi izazvao nedodirljivog Johna Jonesa i još jednom postao prvakom. Igor Pokrajac u meču karijere susreće se s Brazilcem Vinijem Magalhãesom, a Joseph Benavidez i Demetrius Johnson odlučit će tko će biti prvi UFC-ov prvak u muha kategoriji. Također Brian Stann i Michael Bisping traže put do Andersona Silve. Prijenos pogledajte na pay-per-view u nedjelju 23. rujna od 2 sata ujutro na 25. kanalu Max TV-a. UFC 152 samo na Fight Channelu.
On December 10, 2011, UFC President Dana White made an historic announcement.
I want to announce tonight the introduction of the 125-pound division into the UFC. Ian McCall versus Demetrius Johnson, and then Benavidez versus Urish Atani. The winner of those fights will then fight for the 125-pound title.
Joseph Benavidez landed the first spot.
Went in there and got a devastating knockout 11 seconds into the second round. It was just the perfect way to introduce the weight class and introduce myself into the weight class.
3 months later, Demetrius Johnson joined him.
Demetrius getting his striking going. Huge right hand for Demetrius Johnson. McCall goes down.
Unanimous decision, Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson.
The flyweight division promises plenty of action.
Demetrius pouring it on here.
With the 125-pounders throwing 60% more strikes and landing 70% more than the average UFC fighter.
These two were some of the best bantamweights in the world, even though they were competing against guys who were a lot bigger than them. And now you get to see that fight where it should be, at 125 pounds for a title.
Every time you look at that list, I'd be the first ever. That only happens once. I like to say the George Washington of flyweight champions.
It would be awesome to be champion. I didn't get a chance to be champion at 135, and I'm hoping I can make that dream come true at 125. I was raised by my mother in Parkland, Washington. I've never seen a picture of my father. They had a bad split up. Stepdad, he was very strict. He struck us, and my brother was standing in the corner just with our arms up for hours on end. That was kind of like our punishment.
We both grew up pretty rough. It's pretty emotional to talk about, but he just doesn't want our family to be like that. I can't talk about it, I'm sorry. It's emotional.
When Demetrius was 7, his mother moved the family away. But unbeknownst to her children, she was facing another significant challenge.
My mom always told me, when you talk to people, you look them right in the face. You don't cover your mouth, and that's just the way I was raised. She'll watch TV, and she'll put closed caption on because she would say, I just like to read. And then as I got older, my sister goes, you guys know Mom's deaf, right? And I was like, no, she's not. And she goes, yeah, she's deaf. And I was like, Mom, are you deaf? And she goes, yeah.
Happy birthday.
She used to tell me that she reads lips very well. I loved my mom from the very beginning, and I still love her. And I never looked at her any different. I think she did a great job.
Good job!
Demetrius drew on his mom's strength to overcome his size disadvantage.
I was the smallest guy growing up. I was like the runt of the group. My freshman year in high school, I wrestled 119 pounds. I lost every single match. Junior year, I took second in state, and my senior year, I took third in state. What I learned from wrestling was that hard work pays off. I got involved in MMA. I was rooming with my buddy, Jordan, and we're just watching The Ultimate Fighter. We're like, we can do this. These guys are weak. And I was like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna try this.
Despite topping out at 5'3", Demetrius captured the attention of elite MMA trainer Matt Hume.
Now stay in there, stay in there, stay in there, Hunter.
When DJ walked into the gym, the thing that was evident immediately was his athleticism. Without that, you're not gonna have a champion. And through the training, I could tell that he had the mentality of a champion also.
Woo! They knock us, but we did.
DJ is the second person in 20 years that I've told, quit your job because you're gonna be a champion.
Demetrius won his first 10 fights with 8 finishes. After wins in the WEC over Nick Pace and Damasio Page,
Big upset here, Demetrius Johnson.
he made his UFC debut against Kid Yamamoto.
You ready? Let's go, come on.
He had a lot of power. Like, when he hit me for the first time, I was like, whew.
Yamamoto bucks and moves, and he's out. Very nice. Beautiful combination by Demetrius. He's the fastest guy I've ever seen in the octagon by far.
3 months later, he took on former WEC champion Miguel Torres.
Broke my leg and against Miguel Torres. Beginning of the second round, I threw a leg kick. He checked, crack, broke. I didn't want to lose that fight, so I kept on fighting. I was in a lot of pain, but adrenaline's a hell of a drug.
This is, Joe, as you said, a very closely contested matchup.
Won that fight, unanimous decision.
Big victory here tonight for Demetrius Johnson.
I was very excited when the UFC said they're going to be opening up the flyweight division, because it was like, okay, here's a chance for me to fight guys who are actually 5'3" instead of 5'9" and 5'8". It was awesome.
The family environment that DJ grew up in was definitely not an ideal environment to grow up in, but DJ beat all those circumstances, and look at where he is now.
I know a lot of people that have come from broken households, and they don't end up like him. You know, he just is a rare, rare person, and I love it.
Who doesn't want to watch the fastest fighter on the planet, who's come up the ranks, has an incredible story?
I'll go down in history as the first ever flyweight champion in the UFC.
When Joseph Benavidez walked into Team Alpha Male in 2007, he was hoping to make an impression on his idol, Uriah Faber.
There it is, Joseph. Great job.
Beyond him being a great fighter and a great talent, I just felt I could learn so much from him.
He said, hey, I'm an amateur fighter from New Mexico, and I really want to make this my living. And I said, yeah, sure, just jump into class. So then he jumped into a class that I was teaching, and I could tell right away that he was tough. You know, he was extremely athletic and talented, so I took him serious after that.
Under Faber's guidance, Joseph has become one of the top fighters in the world, with a chance to make history in Toronto. A position he never could have imagined before he arrived in Sacramento.
I would never be here if I hadn't stopped drugs and alcohol 7 to 8 years ago. It kind of runs in my family. All 3 of the other males in my family had done prison sentences. My other brothers and my dad. I was born in San Antonio, Texas, and my dad went to prison when I was 6 for drugs. My mom packed up all our stuff, and me and my 2 brothers, and we moved to Las Cruces, New Mexico. Our mom's away at work all day, and our grandma trying to take care of us, so we're just running around doing whatever we want, causing mischief. Playing football at school, I'd always do just fine and tackle people, and really hard to tackle me. I was definitely always the smallest kid, whether it be in my class in elementary school or hanging out with my brothers. I still always felt like I was the toughest.
Joseph used that toughness to win a state wrestling title and went to William Penn College in Iowa on a scholarship.
I ended up dropping out after a year. I just moved in with some buddies and got a regular job, and basically I just became a lowlife of sorts. Drank every day. After years of drinking and just partying, I kind of realized I was susceptible to what had happened to my brothers and what had happened to my dad, which is letting drugs and alcohol take a hold of their lives. And I definitely didn't want that to happen with me. MMA just really started to boom. People started training in my hometown, and I'm just like, I could beat all these guys up, I guarantee it. So I started to train.
After moving to Sacramento, Joseph won his first 10 fights with 2 TKOs and 6 submissions, including wins in the WEC over Danny Martinez and Jeff Curran.
The Jeff Curran fight was actually one of my favorite fights.
Oh, Benavidez catches it with a left.
It was a fight I was supposed to lose. He was a great jiu-jitsu black belt, and I destroyed him.
Oh, wow, look at that. What a takedown. So explosive. He rises up. Nice. Steps over again.
You like that pass?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Got the unanimous decision and really made my name for myself in that fight.
Joseph Benavidez, this young man is a star on the rise.
In August 2009, Joseph went to war with future champion Dominick Cruz.
Now bring it on, come on! Wow, look at the flurry that Benavidez brings.
Oh, he caught it with a hook, though, there.
Wow, what an exchange.
Dominick Cruz!
I was just too small to fight 135. I was walking around at like 137. These guys are cutting down from 160. So after the first fight to Dominick Cruz, I realized, hey, I gotta swallow my pride. Just because I don't like cutting weight, I still gotta get a little bigger. So I picked up a strength and conditioning program. I put on a nice, quick 10 pounds and got devastating finishes in my next 2 fights.
Ready? Fight! Joseph Benavidez is absolutely rocked Ronnie Yaya. It's over.
Well, here we go. From what I hear about Benavidez, it's the same way. Benavidez lands a big right hand.
And look at this.
Beautiful takedown by Benavidez.
And Benavidez once again with a big takedown. Once again, Torres in a bad place.
So good at this guillotine, and it's all over.
In August of 2010, Joseph challenged Cruz again for his WEC bantamweight title.
Oh! And Benavidez connects with a big right. Joseph Benavidez is attacking on multi-levels.
Losing a tough split decision. He then rattled off 4 straight wins, including his UFC debut over Ian Loveland.
Oh, nice right hand by Benavidez. What a quick shot there by Benavidez. Nicely done.
And his featherweight tournament victory that placed him in the historic title fight against Demetrius Johnson.
Joseph Benavidez moving on to the UFC Flyweight Championship fight.
You got a guy like Demetrius Johnson who flies around the cage. He's very quick. His speed is ingrained in really everything this guy does.
This kid is so fast.
He's a well-rounded fighter and is gonna have a speed advantage on anyone, including me, that he fights. He's definitely the fastest fighter in the UFC.
You have Joseph Benavidez who does all that, but he's also a finisher. He can finish guys on the ground. He can finish them on his feet.
He's knocked people out. He has power. I like to be more of a sniper where it's like pop, pop, pop. Pop, pop, pop. Pop, pop, pop. That's just my style.
Benavidez lands nearly 4 significant strikes per minute, a rate far above the UFC average. But he'll have his hands full with Johnson, who absorbed fewer strikes than any bantamweight in the organization's history.
That's not something I'm gonna worry about. I'm going into the fight knowing I'm the powerful striker here, and he's gonna be on the defensive. And I think I can beat him anywhere the fight goes.
He's good everywhere. His ground game, it's legit. He's submitted black belts before.
He's gonna go for it again. He might have it.
He is in deep this time on Wagner Fabiano. That's it. That is it.
Joseph locks on submissions, particularly chokes, very quick and very tight. So he's a very dangerous opponent. The fans are going to have a real treat watching these 2 flyweights.
I'm gonna get my hands on him and definitely let him feel my power.
Benavidez throwing heaters.
I don't think his chin has been tested.
I'm going to test everything about him. His heart, his chin, his cardio. And I'm glad to be making history with him. And I just can't wait to go out there and fight and find out who's going to be number one.
These are two guys that when they come together, their fists will be flying.
Fight Channel donosi vam UFC 152 s 9 mečeva u izravnom prijenosu. Počinjemo u noći sa subote na nedjelju 23. rujna u 2 ujutro. U glavnoj borbi večeri Vitor Belfort diže se u polutešku kategoriju kako bi izazvao nedodirljivog Johna Jonesa i još jednom postao prvakom. Igor Pokrajac u meču karijere susreće se s Brazilcem Vinijem Magalhãesom, a Joseph Benavides i Demetrius Johnson odlučit će tko će biti prvi UFC-ov prvak u muha kategoriji. Također Brian Stann i Michael Bisping traže put do Andersona Silve. Prijenos pogledajte na pay-per-view u nedjelju 23. rujna od 2 sata ujutro na 25. kanalu Max TV-a. UFC 152 samo na Fight Channelu.